and I will put the total up there. And I will put the weight up here somewhere. This daytime bite is amazing. 18 and a half. I'm gonna have to put the totals up here somewhere. And just a great day of fishing. Hey, there we go. And a nice sign that the fish are going to hit topwater. Early morning bass. Alright, so I was going to do a video and sit at home and talk to you about it, but I thought I'd work it into the day that I'm having today. So here's the deal. Maybe about a month ago, I did a video on frog fishing. And I always kind of make it my first thing of the day to frog or topwater fish. And this is a great example. The sun's coming up. Got a nice bass on a frog. That's what I start with. In the summer, especially if you have some heavy vegetation, pull out that frog and see what you can do on guys like this. We got our medium heavy St. Croix rod. Got a Daiwa Tatula bait casting reel, which is 8.1 gear ratio. Version 2 super slick line. All right, let's get this guy back. Nice start to the day. Right at that right time of day. Starting out with the frog. So this day will probably have its own video, hopefully, if the bass keep coming. I also am going to work in how do I fish during a summer day. And this is the lake where I kind of learned that you start in early with the topwater, you move out a little bit with the chatterbait, and then later on maybe you throw on the jig. So as I think about an early morning strategy, I think your big fish are most accessible early in the morning like this. Tucked up into the heavier stuff, kind of hunting for an early morning meal. Then I think as the day goes on, they move out. So that's what we're doing. We're after some of those big guys that might be here. There's definitely fish around reeds and lily pads all day. I just think your bigger guys are more willing to bite early in the morning. But I'm going to keep working down because I've always wanted to fish these reeds when it's been a little deeper around them. I've caught some big ones even when it wasn't deep around them. So let's see, we'll keep working down this shore. And then what we're going to do is we're going to go to part 2. We're going to come back on the other side with the second part of what's usually my day, and that's a chatterbait. This is my next point that I'm really hopeful about. Oh, let's get a fish first. All right, it's about that time to move on from the frog. Pretty successful morning, couple of nice fish on the frog. They may be our biggest of the day. We'll see, we'll have to wait and see. But you know what? Try that frog early. Here's some more successes with the frog early in the morning. Could this be our landing monster? All right. Well, good morning, everybody. There's the big one. All right. right, moving on to what was a great bait for me last summer. A few weeks ago I did a video on chatterbaits. Check that one out. It'll give you the basics. Essentially, I call them chatterbaits, but they're bladed jigs. This is actually a thunder cricket. I also use slobber knockers and original chatterbaits. And then the tail off the back. If you saw the video that I made, I'm going more towards these minnow style. To this year, going with a medium rod. So there were some comments brought up. I wonder how the hook set ratio is going to be. We'll see. If it's not a good hook set ratio, I'll go back to a medium heavy rod. But until then, it's kind of nice to have a light rod. I put some Power Pro Max Cuerto 40-pound test, real nice thin diameter. Let's see if we can get a couple of chatterbait fish going. I'm gonna try to get to where the weeds are dropping off, and we'll just fish right on the edge of them. All right, we're in about 7.8 feet, and the weeds have cleared out. So I'm gonna try to stay right on the edge of them. Like you, I watch a lot of videos myself, and one of the things is, don't forget to change the color once in a while. So that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna take off this thunder cricket. I noticed the water is kind of stained, and white's been a good color at this lake, but also black and blue has. So I'm actually gonna use the same trailer, but we're gonna put on a slobber knocker, which is just another bladed jig brand. There we go. Got our kind of black and blue slobber knocker. Give the fish a nice silhouette in the water. The weather report said 9 o'clock. It's 7:30. All right, so we are going to get back at it. About an hour and a half rain delay, but you know what? It's always good to watch the weather. Heading back out. When we left off, we were just starting to try the chatterbait. Looks like we got a south wind now, even though it's gotten really cold. And we're gonna head down to the southern part of the lake and see if we can find some calmer waters. We've caught some big fish down there before. Let's get back at it. All right, back to the chatterbait. Finally made it to the corner we were gonna fish before the rain started. Let's see if we can get a couple on the boat. The sun is up. This is my go-to when maybe the frog bite is done. Although the frog bite was extended today because of cloudy conditions. But now we got some sun. Got about an hour left to fish. We need one more big one to have a pretty nice limit for the day. See if we can do that with the chatterbait or the jig. Oh, there's a chatterbait tried to steal her kind of fish. All right. This lake has some decent northerns in it. Not worried about losing my chatterbait. I got Paul's leader on it. There we go, chunky northern. You can probably see, got some weeds that are pretty tight here, but the chatterbait will pull right through them because it's got only one hook. So throwing the chatterbait today hasn't been super successful. We still got a little bit of time, but let me show you a few times where the chatterbait was just what I needed because that early morning bite had shut off. There we go. There's a big one. Oh yeah. That is what we came for. There we go. That's what we drove here for. I don't mind a 2:30 a.m. wake-up call when that's the kind of fish you're gonna get. Worked our way all the way around about 2/3 of the lake. Came to this point and frog bite wasn't getting much done. So I put on a original white chatterbait and boom, that big guy hit us. Oh, there's a fish. Be a bass. Ooh, hit like a ton of bricks. Oh, that is. That's a big bass. Wow. There's a fish. All right. There's a better one. All right, maybe figuring something out. They're just off of where I usually get them on a frog. So we shall use our chatterbait. I'm sorry, thunder cricket. There's a nice fish. All right, that's what we're looking for. All right, we got the jig out now. In my jig video, I mentioned my equipment, but here's the basics. I got a mock smash combo from Lou's, medium heavy rod. The tip is a little bit looser than I would use for a frog or a chatterbait, but I love it for jig fishing to see the bites. We're gonna move it a little slower. Chatterbait's great when those fish are aggressive, but man, the jig, just slow it down and see if you can get one of those guys to bite. As I put my big three lures together, frog, chatterbait, and jig has been just a great addition. It's extended days, it's got me big fish. I've caught big fish in June, and I've caught big fish in November on a jig, believe it or not. My last trip here in Minnesota, 42-degree water, and I'm dragging this jig and catching some nice ones. I've mentioned it in some other videos, but it just shows the versatility of a jig and how it can help on those real slow days. So my go-to jig is a 3/8 ounce swim jig. I've got a craw trailer on today. Take a look at a few of the highlights from my jig fishing. Oh, darn it. Came back. All right. Oh, that's not a flipper in there, but I flipped it in. Yes. Maybe the jig is gonna be the ticket. All right, super fish. Starting to get some stuff going with the jig. Nice chunky guy. As you can see, it's a little chilly today. So went away from the chatterbait. I started with the jig, and I've gotten a few bites here in the last little bit. There we go. Followed it out. And it's a big guy. Yes. Wow. I heard something splash in this corner, and I thought, you know what? I'm gonna whip around and throw a cast in there. And this guy followed it out. Wow. This might be the biggest of the day. All right. Yes. Look at that fish. Oh, so much fun, and it's so rewarding, even when you're out here for a whole day, just kind of figuring things out. Or maybe not figuring things out, but catching some fish. This fish was like, are you gonna set the hook? All right, another fish on. This is a big guy. Yes. Oh my goodness, look at this fish. This might be the biggest of the year. Oh, wow. That is a great fish. Wow. So putting everything all together, I love these three lures: frog or topwater in the early morning, chatterbait in those mid depths when the fish seem to be kind of headed out towards deeper water, and then jig in the deeper water later in the day. Now that being said, there's always room to change your plan. If one thing is working, stick with it. If you've watched any of my favorite lake videos, I've fished all day with the frog, and there's been days when I've caught 30 or 40 fish on a frog. There's days when the chatterbait's going to be the star of the show, so stick with that. And then there's going to be days when you're going to need that jig to get some fish in the boat. Kind of be flexible with your thinking. Also, deep and shallow. Frog and topwater, generally I'm staying pretty shallow with those, but the chatterbait and the jig can be used around those lily pads, can be used in the lily pads, especially the jig because it pulls through so nice. As you saw from the beginning, where I'm showing kind of some of the weights and the lengths that I caught over last summer, it's a very consistent way to get some really nice fish in the boat. If somebody told me I could only use 3 lures, right now in my fishing career, it'd be the frog, the bladed jig, and the jig. All right, I'm ready for it. Tell me what you would use in the comments if you were only allowed to use 3 lures. Either way, just get out there fishing. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you on the next video.